2018 with Joyce and Pete Dean, and thank y'all for letting us interview you for the video documentary, or just the video diary. And so,
our pleasure. We're excited.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say about your time at Myrtle Grove.
Thank you, Patrick. For me, it started in 1947. My family moved from Farm Hill out on Lean Highway, right across the bay. And Mother and Daddy bought a lot right across the street from the elementary school. And sometime in there for a while, we commuted to Farm Hill. And then Daddy thought, no, we need to be in church in our community. So we joined on October the 15th, which was exactly 2 weeks after my 9th birthday. And that would have been in 1947. And we were member numbers 154 through 157. My brother and I were the only two old enough to have been baptized and joined. My siblings were younger. So my father was Lloyd Lee. My mother was Mary Lou, later in life known as Mama Lou Lee, who ran the kitchen. And my older brother, Delvin, and then myself and my younger sister, Elizabeth or Libby, and my younger brother, William or Bill. The four of us grew up here until we all were married and went to the military or whatever for my brothers. I had just started 4th grade, and I just loved school, and I loved church, and I loved everything about it. I remember some about Sunday school and Bible school, and then in my teen years, choirs, and I was honored to be on some committees with my dad, and that was really special for me. I don't know if you can see this or not, but they used to give these little pins away. There's a pin in the middle, and it says Methodist Church. It was not United at the time, it was just Methodist Church. And then you got this little wreath around it for the second year. So I got all the way through 5 years of perfect Sunday school attendance.
That's cool.
Now, whether they quit giving them or I didn't earn any more, I don't know. But and I remember the family, the few trips we went on, they would be sure that I got to Sunday school so I didn't break my record. I always went to Bible school. And in those days, Myrtle Grove would have 2 weeks, 5 days a week, from like 9 to 12, I'm guessing. And then Myrtle Grove Baptist had the same amount of time, and they would have it at different times. So we kids essentially had 4 weeks of vacation Bible school during the summers. And that was an important part to me about learning. I've learned music and Bible verses, and it's when I first began to learn about missions. And I remember, for some reason, in Africa, and I don't know whether we had one VBS that was a focus or not, but that's where I first learned about the mission field outside of our own neighborhood. Some of the names that I associate with VBS and Sunday school are, of course, Mabel Scherer. She was the rock for all of us my age. But there was also Mrs. Tyrrell, Mrs. Kelly, her husband's name was James, I can't remember her name, Virginia Arnold, and my mom. Those are some that I remember. We learned lots of courses, and it was not only okay but required that you learn Bible verses at Vacation Bible School and during the Sunday school. And of course we were Methodist, so we always had refreshments and got to eat every place we went. Bible school is what we generally called it. It was a period of just focusing more time on those things that we were learning in Sunday school throughout the year. I was privileged to go to Camp Glory, which is over in Alberta. If it's still there, I think it has a different name.
Was it on Wolf Day or Perdido Day, perhaps?
One of the Perdido, I'm thinking.
Okay.
But that was where I went the first Bible school, and the church always helped with finances. My family could not have afforded for us to go, but the church always helped. And then the next year, or shortly after that, I was in the first group of people that went to Blue Lake.
Cool.
And that's another whole story, but we slept in tents, bathed in the lake, and all those things were made possible because of the church would help those of us who wanted to go. I met my husband. You all know him as Pete. Those who grew up with him knew him as Ronnie. That's another long story. He became Pete somewhere down his military career, but his family still calls him Ronnie. My family still calls him Ronnie. So I have to be careful when I'm talking to people that they don't think I have two husbands. But his parents were also here later on. But I was real privileged to be able to serve on a lot of committees with my dad. I thought Dad hung the moon. And that was an important part of our relationship, was that I was able to come in, because they had youth members at that time on all of the committees. Another thing that I thought about was the WSCS. Mother was really, that was Women's Society of Christian Service for all you newbies, before the United Methodist Church became in existence. And they had a program for teens. I don't remember the name of it, but I remember Mrs. Webb was the director or leader for our group, and I don't know how many years that went, but I did get involved in that group for a while. But as I said, we met here. Actually, Ronnie came on Christmas Eve to deliver my brother a Christmas card, so that's how far back his procrastination goes. And I was walking through the hall, and as he says, that was it. So he was in a senior in high school. I was in my ninth grade, and I was still at the junior high. But the MYF, somewhere along the way before we got married, Anna Mary Scherer became the director of the children's, not the director, the volunteer counselor for the MYF. And we did a lot of things like go to Fort Pickens and have flashlight walks through the fort before it was open to the public. And Mother used to take us to Barron Park. We'd go downtown to watch The Woman with the Light, the ghost stories. But it wasn't all fun. Anna Mary and the pastors that we had here made sure that we were challenged biblically. I went to look up the pastor that was here when we joined was Matheson, and he was the second pastor the church had. Elvin Edgar married us in 1957. One thing I wanted to point out was before this other building, is that south, east or whatever, the church poured a big cement slab. And I have no idea what it was made for, but what it was used for was for us to go skating. And we had the old roller skates, and we would come up. I still have a scar. We'd come up and bring our skates and have skating parties. And there was a time later on that Mother and Mrs. Arnold, they had some kind of game night. I wouldn't even call it that, but something. And they would open up the fellowship hall on Friday nights, and we would come up and get together and do what I don't know, but we didn't get in any trouble. Okay, as I said, we met in Christmas 1952. We were married in April 1957. This church has brought us through our teen years, me through my elementary years, Peter, Ronnie through the teen years. We left the area in 1957, we got married. In 67, we were going to Europe, so we moved our membership back here so that it would be in a stable place. And our 3-year tour was only a year, so it was only here for a year. And then we came back in 2004, and we've been here ever since, and we anticipate being here for the rest of our, no, that's not right. Anyhow, the church has been here for us, this church, all churches that we've been in, but we were married here. We celebrated our 2 oldest children were baptized here. We celebrated our 50th anniversary here. The church has helped us bury all 4 of our parents, 2 siblings, and when I needed him the most was last year when our granddaughter died. And the people of the Modern Sands and of the church in general have stood with us, and now through Pete's illness that I don't know how people survive without a loving church congregation.
Yeah.
Okay, Pete, unless I want to interrupt you.
You'll probably have to interrupt me. Dates are not my favorite thing. But we got from Brownsville, we graduated out here to the end of Jackson Street, where I guess that road now, Blue Angel,
No, Fairfield.
Hmm?
Fairfield and Jackson.
Fairfield, yeah, Fairfield and Jackson. But, so I rode a bicycle from up there to Joyce's and to the church all the time. So during that Christmas, when I saw her in a hall, she just passed through the hallway, and I saw her through a doorway, and this is love at first sight, I guess, because from that time on, we've been, we've been together. So, and Joyce and I were quite interested in working with the youth at that time. So we spent some very happy days on the Sunday nights we'd go back in this little hallway that they had, not a hallway, it was really a section of the, I guess,
Fellowship Hall?
Fellowship Hall, except it didn't run this way like it does now. It came more north and south.
Mm-hmm.
And so we spent many a night enjoying the different programs that they had there. And then after the programs, the youth would get together and we'd go bowling at the bowling alley out there. And so, other than that, and I've enjoyed Myrtle Grove pretty, once I started anything like that, I'm not stuck in the mud, when you put it that way, because if I want to go to this church, then I don't bother going to any others. So when my parents weren't really active in church, but they always saw that I went to church. And so I started my church out in Brownsville in a what we call a holy roly at that particular time. And I wasn't too thrilled with that, but when we graduated out here, I was very happy with the Myrtle Grove Church. So, and still am, as far as that goes.
I was so impressed when I met him and realized that he got himself to church, like you said, on his bicycle.
Yeah.
And I mean, his parents didn't get up and make him go or bring him. He could come,
Yeah.
and he would pedal his bike home down Jackson Street after dark, unless mother felt sorry for him and took him home.
Yeah,
But
loading me a bicycle.
I always, that was
truck.
one of the things that drew me to him, was that he took the initiative to seek the Lord out for himself. And since we've been back, we're members of the Modern Sams. He has been active in men's club, Young at Heart. Those are things that we've been involved in since we came back.
But you've covered quite a bit. I mean, well, I was trying to think if I had any other questions. I was going to ask, was there any story of when, Myrtle Grove being especially special to you? I mean, you've covered that. Is there any funny story you can think of from the past, or anything, I don't know, that jumps to mind of something interesting?
They used to have, now they have a fish fry monthly, but they used to have like community plays, and they would have plays, and the whole community would come, and they were usually held at the school. And I remember Daddy was doing something, and it's so out of character for my dad to be on stage. Mother, that's a different story. But they did some silly play, and Daddy had to sit on the tack and jump up. Must have been a school play, and so he sat on the tack and had to jump up and scream.
I
That was
can't
it.
imagine that.
Yeah, me neither, but I remember that event. There was something that, I know, when we came back, one of the things Pete got started in after there were a couple of vacancies was being the belly washer at VBS. And he just loved doing that. Well, I held out. I didn't have any desire to come down here. I've been my time in Bible school. I had no desire to come down here 5 days a week and spend half of my day with kids. But somebody, probably Carol Liggins, talked me into being a storyteller. And so being on stage is, like I said, that's part of my mother in me. And so for 4 years, I was the VBS Bible storyteller for the young kids. And I would dress up they had, well, depending on the theme. If they didn't have a theme that I had a costume for, I'd just dress like a Bible character. And there is something funny about that. Now, I'm a counselor. We have 20 grandkids, 21 grandkids, and 3 kids of our own. And for some reason, this all went past me. But I had these 2 little girls. One was named Olivia, and one was named Megan. And they just talked and talked and talked and talked the first day. And I thought, I just left them alone. Well, the second day they started again, and I thought, I can't have this for 5 days. So I called Megan. I don't know why I picked her. I said, Megan, come up and sit in Granny's lap. So she came up there, and that was the end of that. The next day they started again. So there was about 2 or 3 days I called Megan up to sit in my lap. Well, then it dawned on me one day that Megan was probably felt pretty picked on. So I called Olivia. Megan had a meltdown.
She did not like that.
She had no clue that she was being punished. So the last time I did VBS, I had Megan on one leg and Olivia on the other, telling my stories. That wasn't a growing up story, but it's one of my favorite stories about the
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Well, we had a lot of fun going to camp too. Camp, and we had a lot of funny things happen at camp.
Like short sheeting.
Take a bath in the lake and up there and just that. That was before really Lake Junaluska got started really well.
Lake
so we had a good time there. We also went to, of course that was Blue Lake. Now Lake Junaluska was a real motorized trip, but we enjoyed that.
That was my first bus trip. What was it called? Jurisdictional camp. And then we went to Montgomery to college, Huntington College one summer for like camp out. And the teenagers, if they pay attention, we had to wear dresses at Huntington. I don't know we had, and Lake Junaluska. We could not wear shorts or jeans, and we didn't for VBS either.
There's one funny story you should relate, and that's your card playing poker.
Oh,
with the
oh yeah, that's better. Pete said we used to go out and go get pizza. Pizza came out while he was in the military. But anyhow, we used to go to, if we didn't have the money to go out someplace, we'd take turns going to other kids' houses. And it was John Higdon, whose dad was the principal of the school, turn to have us over after MYF in church. So we go over, and John was the treasurer of the MYF, so he had all the MYF money, and the rest of us were broke as usual. And so I said, what are we going to do tonight, John? And he said, well, y'all know how to play poker? And of course, none of us did. So he went and got the MYF money, passed it out to us till we all had a whatever you call it in poker. And we played poker, and when we got through, we put the money back into the treasury and went home. And my dad said, well, Joyce, what'd y'all do at John's tonight? I'm so ignorant, I didn't have a clue. And I said, oh, we played poker, Daddy. So then I had to pick up my dad off the floor. And so it's like
I bet he was surprised.
Well, I'm glad y'all put the money back, though.
Oh, yeah, we didn't get to take it home. We just used it instead of matchsticks.
Yeah.
Well, I think we probably hold the record for having been married in this church.
Right.
Because we were married here, and that was 61 years ago.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, church has always been a stalwart, or I cling to the church because it's been my life.
Right.
The church was supportive in our life here, and when I went overseas after we were married, I spent many a night at the chapel writing letters to her. I think I wrote one every night.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank y'all for sharing your experience.
Well, thank you. It's our pleasure.
And, yeah.
Hope nobody goes to sleep while they're watching it.
Oh, no. We appreciate the part you've played and continue to play here in Myrtle Grove. And it's kind of cool hearing the past, hearing some stuff that's gone on. So thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yes, thanks.